All right. Welcome to another Retain and Gain. I'm Larry Bruce.
And I'm Rob Mudd.
And we are here to talk about how to retain and gain more customers in sales, service, and parts. So, got a fun show today.
That's good. I always like to have fun shows.
Yeah.
As opposed to bad, not fun
Not
shows.
just because it's supposed to unfun shows, right? AI, where does it fit?
Well, that's a big topic.
Yeah,
it's a big topic for a lot of people. But I came prepared.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm going to read a little tidbit here that I think is pretty darn accurate. And it says, shit, I guess you can't really use your glasses like this. Okay, here we go.
All right.
AI can be invaluable for the growth and the competitive advantage. However, its application requires a critical mass of proprietary first-party data as fuel, which isn't readily available or easy to produce in the short term.
Yeah, it depends on what you call short term, but okay, I would absolutely agree with it 100%. Without data, without us, I mean, we did.
Yeah, that's
our last show was on CDP,
yeah.
and without a CDP, your AI won't work very well, if at all. I mean, it might as well be a collection of automated templates.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about that good. So. I have to agree with them on that. It is the CDP, the data, the first party data is the fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's
where are you going to get that first party?
Yeah,
data,
but here's a really cool, or a really not so much cool, but a good question. What is first party data?
So there's a technical definition. A first party data is list generated somehow, some way by your efforts.
Okay.
Fair enough,
right? They're 100%. I'd 100% agree with that.
Or you could go buy a list that you don't have, and the effort was your purchase of dinero to get it. Right?
Yeah, that's a pretty loose definition of first party data, but okay.
That's
right
at the top of the funnel.
Fair enough. Right, way top. Yeah, high level. Right. I think a lot of people. I mean, a lot of dealers, particularly, are confused. Easily confused, or not easily confused, rightly confused about first-party data because everybody or what they've been told of what data is, or customer data is, the customer data part of the platform is a name, an email address, a mobile number, an address, a vehicle. This is first-party data.
Correct.
Right. And yes, that is first-party data, but it's not the most important part of first-party data.
The most important part of first-party data, I believe, would be first name, last name, phone number, and home address.
100%. But you know what makes AI work on that, and then those things don't make AI work.
No, the patterns of that data is what.
When did you last email that customer? When did you last
communicate
talk to that customer? What was the last phone call about? What was the last text message about? Were they on the floor last week? When was the last time they were on the floor? The behavioral data.
That's what it's all about.
The behavioral data is what makes that right. You'll hear a lot of people talk about activation and how it's the activation that makes the AI work, and they're right about that part of it. What they don't understand is what the activation is, and the activation is that part, in part, the conversation, but that's really not the activation, but that's what they think it is, right? Is that I had a conversation last week, or you showed up on my website, or we had an email, you showed up on the floor. These things are contextual. They're not activations. They're contextual. They give the AI what it needs to understand to talk with the customer intelligently, or seemingly like it's a person. I mean, if I handed you a sheet and said, call this guy,
most people would say, what do I say? I'm afraid to call that person.
Well, most people would say, well, okay, what am I calling him about?
Right.
Okay, right? Yep. First of all, okay, you want me to call him? What am I calling about? Okay, and then you would want, okay, well, have they picked out a vehicle yet?
Yeah, you want to know
something about their
purpose.
Behavior. Right, you want to know their behavior.
Yeah.
Give me some background on the behavior. If I can't tell you, you'll go to the CRM and you'll try to get it. The problem is that most CRMs
don't have the right data.
The texting, the whole text conversation is happening outside the CRM. Most of the calls are happening outside the CRM. Most of the
Well,
even
the CRM
50% of the emails happening outside the CRM.
Yeah, and the CRM was put in place 25 years ago, man.
Right.
I mean, it's evolution out of its ability to keep up, right? It just is. It has.
Yeah.
It was never fundamentally architected to do what it needs to do today to give you an advantage.
Right. I mean, the CRM is really nothing more to me today than in most places that I see it, and then a glorified up list.
Well, yeah, that's what it was supposed to be. And most guys would say, oh, you know what? No, my CRM data isn't right. It's off. Okay, well, what I would say is, all right, just give it to us as long as it's always the same off, right? Because you're looking for the pattern.
Right.
Pattern recognition is what AI is about, in which it can do because it can go through so much data so fast and identify the nuance. And nuance really is like contextual understanding. If you don't have context, you really don't have anything.
Right. So the CDP has to be made up of every email, every SMS message, every single phone call, every single phone call recorded, transcribed, summarized, so that it can make sense of the customer's context before I craft a message to talk to them.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. And so the inherent challenges with what you're describing is an understanding then of all the technology that a dealership's using, right? And how you map that out, right? For the sequence of events that will take place if you have it set up properly.
Right. Exactly. So, I mean, again, I challenge that most CRMs won't have it.
No, they won't.
Won't have most
They
of it.
can't. It's impossible.
They won't have most of it. Your DMS surely will not have it.
Because that only has sold.
That's it. And so then you scratch your head and you wonder, well, why is AI not really doing why is it not meeting the promise?
Well, because the premise isn't being communicated properly for it to work, right? That you have to have a system for the AI to work, to be able to know what it's looking for or what you want to have it do. AI for AI purposes is really just a bunch of computers with more computing power. And so if you don't ask with a prompt of something that you want it to compute, it won't do it.
Right.
So what then is AI? AI is a tool that needs to be trained by you to do what you want it to do based off the data you put in it.
Yeah, that's the way AI started. And then you moved into you started to hear this term agentic AI.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one.
Agentic AI or AI agents are supposed to be these agents.
Okay,
that
I've heard.
Yeah, these things that go off and do things for you that you don't have to manage, right? You know, and you don't see that happen very often. For that to work, you have to have first the data, the CDP, right? It has to have every bit of data in it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then you have to have, a RAG system, which basically stands for, basically it's what you use to generate the messaging and the activation outside of AI, right? And that RAG, what it does is it activates some scenario or some segment, So, this goes back to
read
DIA.
a trigger of some sort.
Well, it goes back to DIA, data, the data part, the information that helps the RAG, the activation that is the RAG, and then the action, what happens as a result, right? All four has to be in place for any type of data, any type of system, CDP, AI, whatever, doesn't matter. The four things have to be, to get value, those four things have to be there.
The beginning, the middle, and the end, and then why.
Yeah, data, information, activation, action. Has to work that way.
Yep.
So to me, that's a law. I mean, some people call it a framework. Some people call it to me, it's a law. I don't see how you get around it. I've tried to get around it.
You can't. It's like physics. I mean, there's natural physical laws.
Yeah, right? This is a law. Without this, data doesn't have value.
Correct.
So I must have data, information, activation, action in order to create value. So where I believe AI fits today is I 100% believe that very few. Right now, we are replacing BDCs with AI. We are.
Right.
Your BDC, what do you want it to do? I want it to engage a customer. I want it to set an appointment. Okay, AI can do that.
So stop right there. So what you just described is what we used to believe salespeople were to do.
Right.
And then it evolved into a BDC to follow up for the sales guys that couldn't do that.
Right.
And so then my expense layer starts growing. And my compression
exponentially
of margin starts shrinking.
100%.
And so once you get into inversion, you're in a death spiral.
Yes.
Right. And that's what you want to be careful of.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what's happening. That's why you have margin compression. You have too many people doing the same thing.
But what's funny about the BDC is that the BDC, that if you talk to people about why you have a BDC, they're going to give you the wrong answer.
What do you think they'll say?
They'll say it's because my salespeople can't handle a lead.
Exactly.
They can't handle a call. They can't handle an email address. Email. My answer to that has always been: then you need to find a new salesperson. If you can't communicate,
or
these things are
find
these
a
things
new
are
sales
communication.
manager to train those people, or hire somebody.
100%. I mean, this is communication. If you can't
it's
communicate,
also
you
common
can't sell.
sense. It's almost common sense.
If you can't have a conversation, you can't sell.
No.
You can't.
No.
But
You're
that's
an order taker. You can be an order taker, not talk.
Right.
But you can't be a salesperson.
Right.
Without talking.
Right. So
communicating.
So at the end of the day, that's what they would tell you. I would tell you the reason you have a BDC, or the reason you got into the BDC, this is what you thought, but what was happening is you needed those people to take care of all the opportunities, because the number of opportunities and the amount of follow-up that ensued that needed to take place, your salespeople could not physically manage.
Well, and so why was that? Because
it's too much. It's more than you think it is.
They were out buying third-party leads.
Well, then not just buying third-party. Today, if you're buying third-party leads today, you're nuts.
No, but they were, right?
Yeah.
And so they slam them down in the CRM.
Yeah.
And now the tool gets overridden with third-party leads. Well, who's going to follow up on them? Not the guys on the floor. Yeah. We better have our BDC guys follow up.
Well, they were internet managers then, right? Remember, nobody wanted to be the internet manager. Now everybody wants the lead.
Right.
It's so funny. But at the end of the day, it's because there's too many. There are too much follow-up. There's not enough physical time in the day for your people to do that. And then you add to that all the thousands of people that you need to recontact to resell again, and all the people that you need to contact in service to remind them for service, and all the people that you need to follow up on to keep their customer experience after the sale going. It's impossible.
It gets back to the last episode, or the one before that, we were talking about the guy that was doing 35, 50 units a month, right? Mm-hmm. And so how was he able to do that? Because he had an assistant.
Yeah. Well, Larry,
assistant
I
is the AI.
Yeah. I had the unique pleasure of working with Larry Merritt at Tom Jumper Chevrolet. I think he still is, I think he still is. He at one time he was world record holder over Joe Girard. I think he still is. I don't know. I've not looked that up. But Larry had 2 sales secretaries.
There you go.
And they did his outreach. They didn't do all of his follow up. He did a lot of his own follow up, but they did a lot of outreach, reminding customers to come back and buy vehicles, reminding customers, taking care of customers in service, and all the things that need to be done after
And he
the
probably
sale.
paid for those 2 assistants.
He 100% paid for those 2 assistants.
And why would he do that?
Because he was making a boatload of dough.
So he knew his ROI.
Oh yeah, he did. Make no mistake about it. It wasn't because it was costing him money. No, at the end of the day, Larry, it was an amazing thing to watch. But, he had these 2 sales assistants. And so that's where AI, the AI agent has to comes in. Right. But you got to make sure that it can actually act autonomously. And this is the thing I think that's escaping the car business right now. It's escaping most businesses. There are not a lot of autonomous AI agents that can go out and get it. We've managed to build 55 of them. That autonomous AI agents that will engage your customers without you having to do anything. But that's what has to happen. It's got to become, for the salespeople to move from 10 cars to 15, you need a force multiplier.
Yes.
And that's what those 2 agents, two BDC, those 2 assistants from Larry,
what they did.
That's what they were his force multiplier. Right.
And he understood that.
Right.
Right. And then created a system that supported that and sold a shitload of cars.
Yes.
That's it. I mean, The business is that simple. It's also extremely complicated, but at the end of the day, it's that simple. It's a sales organization. You sell things that you don't make, right?
Right.
And so that you then constantly
retail.
You're a retailer. You're a retail.
Yeah.
And how do you retail? You have people that want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
And you have something they might want to buy. It's basic. They
like, know, and trust you.
Pardon me?
They like, know, and trust you.
They like but don't trust you?
They like, know, and trust you.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's even better. Yes. They like you and know you and trust you.
Yeah. I mean, that's every sale.
Right.
That's every sale. It doesn't matter what it is they like.
Do you think that technology has made the common sense, understandable process and have gotten so micro to that process and breaking down every step of the way that there's no free flow of the process? Does that make sense? It becomes so damn mechanical because that's what technology is. It can get mechanical and break it down to the gnat's ass. And when you get so focused on that spec, you lose total understanding of the forest around you. Does that right?
Yeah, I can certainly see where somebody would micromanage.
Well, I believe that's what technology, that's all they have, right? They're telling you, Mr. Salesperson, Mr. Dealer, you're not managing all this data properly, right? Or you're not utilizing a tool to do all these things that you need to do. We'll help you. We'll teach you how to get better at doing those things. I think what you just said is recognizing force multipliers, the things that they don't want to do that need to get done.
Right.
That's what this tool's for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, I think that
because if I could be a 20 car guy, but I'm only a 12 car guy, but you can show me how to be a 20 car guy, but really it's not showing me how to be the 20 car guy. You're taking away the shit that you need to do to be a 20 car guy.
To be the 20 car guy. You're having something else do it consistently. Yes. And what you're doing is you're taking in the customers and doing the sale and assisting them with the purchase.
And so that's what the CRM, the dealer thought that was what would keep the sales guy organized in doing his outreach, right? Or the managers on the outreach. But that's where it fell apart. When humans have to do something is where everything falls apart.
100%. And it won't get done consistently. No. It won't get done the same way every day, or the same way every time. It won't get done most of the time past couple of times of follow up and you're done. And I think a lot of people are looking at AI right now and they're looking at it for a follow up scenario and think that's great. It lead nurturing and following up is 100% one of those buckets that AI fits into perfectly. Yep. However, if you don't have a CDP backing it up,
you can't do it.
It's not doing you a whole heck of a lot of good. And that's why you see some of these guys. I think I ran into somebody the other day who had, I can't remember the name of the AI they were using, but it was like $200 a month. And I was like, dude, if you got to AI, would you hire a BDC manager for $200 a month?
No, you couldn't find one.
Well, I mean, even if you could find one, I wouldn't hire them.
No,
because I have no idea what they're doing. But it's whatever it is, it's bad.
Right, because if they only believe they're worth $200, then
so if you think of your AI as this worth $200, I don't want it. I mean, that's silly. It's going to do nothing. It's because it does next to nothing. It sends out a generic template on an automated schedule if you do your job right.
Yeah, so then what you're saying is that you want the tool, if it does what it says it does or needs to do, it's irrelevant of what the cost. I mean, it is to a certain degree irrelevant because those things that it will do are what you need to get your guy to do to go from 12 to 20. Right?
Yeah, why wouldn't you pay? Why wouldn't you pay the AI, our business model, for example? Why wouldn't you just pay it on what we help you sell?
You would.
Yeah.
You would.
I mean,
absolutely.
If your AI company has enough confidence and understanding in their product, that they'll take payment.
Why not?
I would rather take payment that way.
I would too.
Yeah. So pay me on what I sell.
This is a funny story. We had a dealer group down in Texas, Dallas, and they had 5 of the same franchises in the Metroplex, and we were doing all their mail. Mm-hmm. And one day I was asked was down there, stop by, talk to these folks, and talk to them about what we were doing with multi-channel
Right.
marketing back in 2012. And so we did, and I did, and they bought into everything we're talking about. And we said, you know what? Here's how we're get paid. We're going to net this thing out, meaning whatever spend we have on any of the medias, we won't take a commission. We're just going to place it, right?
Yeah.
And because you are who you are, and you say that you have the sales, and we believe you,
Right.
then we just need to provide you with more ups.
Right.
Right, Mr. Dealer? Because you have, yeah, of course, yeah. You give me more ups, I'll sell more cars.
Right.
So we did. We got paid a certain amount per unit.
Right.
Netted everything out. We got to the first month, they were doing about 350 units a month between all 5 stores. The very first month, they did 510 units.
Right.
And they had them pay us, it was $250 or $300 per unit above and beyond. So we only got paid on what we did extra, not on what they were doing.
Right.
They ended up cutting us a check, I don't know, it was for 35, 40 grand. And they did that for about 4 months, and then they fired us because they thought we were making too much money. We were making a lot of money, but you were making your money first. So what they found that was of no value was the system, because we made the system simple. When we took our system out, they try to recreate it, and then it's not simple anymore.
Right.
Then it becomes very difficult. And so what's my point? My point is that when you make things very simple, people can think those are simple things, but they're not. They're very complicated things that you made simple, and they can get messed up with what you want to compensate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, there was when we were, when
it was good, it was too good for them.
Yeah, at the height of AIM data, when we were really selling a lot of direct mail, right back in the early 2000s, I had an Infinity dealer in Austin who just was relentless. Would not. I got asked by many dealers, hey man, let me just pay you on what you tell me you can sell this month. You're tracking this stuff. You're doing your matchbacks. You're telling me how much you can sell, and so why don't I just pay you on what I can sell? And I would always push back on that because it wasn't one of those things where it wasn't good for the dealer, or the dealer wouldn't pay it. And he would not let up. It's just like, look, to the point where he's like challenging my,
pay for performance,
man. But he's like challenging my manhood or something,
right,
man.
Right.
It's like, if you are as good as you really think you are, that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, fine, but I promise you, dude, you will not pay.
Yeah, and they probably didn't pay.
And no, he didn't. First, we ran a campaign. The guy did 10,000 piece campaign. Would have cost him about $12,000, and he owed me 35.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'm not paying that. I said, I told you you'd say that.
What did he say?
Well,
you were right.
I mean, he said, yeah, I'm not paying it. I was like, well, then, I guess our agreement was nothing. And I ended up getting $15,000 out of him for the mail piece. And then he's like, well, when are we going to do another? And I was like, we're not.
Yeah, that's.
I mean, we had an agreement. You beat me down for that agreement. You chose to back up on that agreement. I'm not. That's not how I want to. That's not anybody I want to do business with.
No,
right?
No. Of course not.
But the point of that story is that if you're confident in your product and your product has that direct relationship with the customer, then you ought to be able to get paid on the sale. Because the reality is that I would expect your dealership is good at closing as long as I give them the opportunities to close.
I never had a dealer tell me he had shitty salespeople that couldn't close a car deal. Never one time.
I heard them they had lazy ones,
but never shitty
ones, right? Like those things are different things, I guess. So I can buy that. Now, if I did ever run into a situation, I don't think we've run into it yet, where we're providing a lot of opportunities, but you're not closing them, we'll just let you go. As you would any person that you're doing that can't close for you as the dealer, and vice versa. If we're not providing you value, and let us go.
Let us go.
Just the same way you'd let any other person go.
I can remember Dad saying this to us boys coming up in the business, that he had a dealer out down in South Carolina somewhere, and the fellow Dad said, hey, here's my contract. It's 90 days, and after that, we can both cancel anytime. And the guy said to him, Jim, I kind of have saying down here with my boys is that when I get shit on my hands, I want to get it off. Huh. Okay, that makes sense. So from then on, we had contracts, but it was based off the results, is what the guy was saying.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you don't deliver, I want to get rid, and he should be able to get rid of you, right? If you don't deliver. Okay, that's great.
Fine.
But if we do deliver, hopefully you'll have enough sense not to get rid of. Well, and so anyway, that's just a story
Sometimes,
Dad who used to tell, but it was about, hey, you got to deliver right now.
Yeah.
Right? There isn't 90 days to see if you're any good, because if you are good, you can start, again, making the bell ring in traffic.
Right.
Traffic counts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to be good coming out of the gate. I'm going to get better as we go.
Yep.
Right. And if you choose to let me go over something else, well, then that is what it is.
What do you think? Here's a question for you. What do you believe that dealers are looking for today from an agency or anybody that says, I'm here to help you sell more cars, Mr. Dealer? What do you think that they're actually looking for?
Well, I think they're looking for the unfair advantage to get more and better opportunities, right? Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
I think that's really what most dealers are looking for.
Yeah.
And they think that doing that online, there's some magical secret sauce that somebody has that they can target just the right person online and make them see your ad, make them click on your ad. I hate to bust your bubble. No, they don't. There's nothing new under the sun. There's not a single one of these guys who will tell you anything that they have some super secret special sauce. No, they don't. They buy that super secret special sauce from the same people that bought the other super secret special sauce, right? It's not.
No,
there's no super secret special sauce.
No.
There's no silver bullet.
And other than working the system.
Right.
And measuring the system, measuring what you expect to happen. Otherwise, it won't happen.
There's no, you know what the silver bullet is, and we go back to Jim, rest in peace, Jim. But Jim used to tell this story about how he went to the manufacturers with a book, with a training manual, and they were evaluating trainings, and they had him do one, another couple other guys do their training in the store, and his stores were performing, far better than the other stores. And they asked him, "What do you do that's not in this book?" And Jim would say, "Well, it's all in the book." No. But we've got the book. We've read the book. What do you do that's not in the book? Because you're doing better than you're doing so much better than these other guys. What do you do that's not in the book? He's like, no, you don't seem to understand. We actually do what's in the book.
Right.
Right.
Regularly. Without missing.
Yeah.
They do it constant every day.
Right.
And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Is the everyday part.
Right.
That is because monotony, whatever, doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting to get a different result. That's Einstein's insanity. So hopefully you have some basis of your system that works. And if it works, keep on doing it, baby.
Yeah.
Keep on doing it.
Yeah.
Whatever that is. And most likely it is the basics of the car business. Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
Measuring the KPIs that matter most. Yeah. How much money did I spend? How many opportunities did I get? What was my close? Well, how much money did I gross? What's my ROI?
Yeah, we had a construct, I guess I'd call it, when I ran the stores for Charlie, and it was, for me it was more, new, better, right? So once I found something that was working, I just did more of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then, after we just maxed this out, we couldn't go any further, we'd try something new. Mm-hmm. And then we'd start trying to figure out how to make it better, how to make this whole thing better.
And that's really innovation. That's how you innovate,
right?
With that process.
So when we talk about AI, right, and we talk about where it fits, I think it fits. It makes total sense to replace your BDC with AI. Total sense. Your BDC's turning over 5 times a year already. Yeah. Anyway, just go ahead and let it age out, and replace it with AI.
When your margins are going to be more profitable, your bottom line is going to go up instantaneously.
It can get to more. At a typical 150 car store, by the time you get through with all of the resell customers, all of the customers it needs to contact to resell, all the customer needs to contact to remind to do service, all the customers it needs to contact to follow up on all of that, you're talking over 100,000 people a month it has to talk to.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Right? And if you get a 30% response rate or 30% conversation rate, which is what you should get at minimum, a 30% conversation rate. If you're getting a 30% conversation rate, it's 130,000 conversations. You know how many BDC people it takes to have 130,000
Most
conversations?
They can have one person in a day, 60 conversations.
60 a day. That. Divide that out. It's 94 BDC people to have 130 conversations a month.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen.
And why would you want that to happen?
I mean, why would you want to try to go manage 94 people and then hire a manager and then on top of that, put them somewhere? This is nuts.
It's nuts because now the technology
is available to that, right?
Correct.
It's scalable to that point.
Yep.
Very easily scalable to that point. But the fact of the matter is if I'm having 130,000 conversations a month, I'm selling more vehicles.
100%.
I am.
Absolutely.
More conversations, more sales.
It's like the guy that had 134,000 de-anonymized people.
Right.
Hell, in reality, that's all they need.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say that too is because, I won't go down that rabbit hole. We go down a lot of rabbit holes. I'm not going to go down that one.
Go down that rabbit hole.
No.
So where does it? So to kind of land this plane a little bit, where does AI fit? Well, AI fits right now. It's got to be autonomous. It fits right now if you have a CDP, and if you don't have a CDP, it doesn't fit. Don't even waste the $200.
And look at the AI when you're thinking and talking about it is a force multiplier. A force multiplier of what, right? What will it do? It will do, if you set it up, the things that your
salespeople won't do. Right.
The things that the 12-car guy doesn't do that the 50-car guy's two assistants do.
Right.
That's how you get
constant outreach.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
It can continuously reminding your customers it's time to come back in sales, time to come back in service, consistently staying
because
in
no
contact
one knows
and starting those conversations.
No one knows when someone's at the top of the funnel and goes to the bottom of the funnel, because that could be today if I get in a car accident on my way home.
Yeah.
No one knows that. No one wants that to happen.
Right.
But it happens. Right. And so
other things happen.
Other things.
Right.
So top of the mind awareness is something else that has been lost, right?
Yeah.
Like your unique selling proposition. What's that? Top of mind awareness.
Right. What makes me different? Right.
That's it.
And a wheel could come off while you're going down the freeway, and you could decide, screw this piece of shit. I'm buying another car right now.
Or you could say, I'm going to go chase that. No, I'll go buy another wheel and put one on because I like the truck. Could go either way. Whole other story, by the way. Just thankfully, that tire did not hit anything.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Yes. So, whole other story, by the way. So, to land the plane again, AI without a CDP, I would, my opinion, don't waste your money. No. Don't waste your money. Have a CDP though, and if you're going to have a CDP, make sure you can leverage AI. AI is not a DSP.
No,
it's very different. It's a one-to-one thing. When you do engage AI, understand it's a force multiplier to your sales force. It should be helping your sales force move from 10 to 15 cars a month. It should be taking all the low-level follow-up off your salespeople. And I don't just mean following up on customers that submitted a lead this month or last month. I mean everybody who's ready to buy again. Right. The things that we expect salespeople to do. It's taking those off their plate and starting those conversations and then handing those conversations off to that customer. That's where it is. And don't get the last thing I'll leave you with on this, the last tactic I'll leave you with on this is that don't get caught up with these people who want to try to elevate a CDP or elevate AI above, like cells is beneath it. It's the lowest level of AI. Or there are people right now in this business who, well, sales is the various, or selling things or marketing is the worst part, or the lowest level of they look on the marketing part of it as this is the worst, or the worst use of AI, or the low level use of AI. AI is so much smarter. No, it's not.
No.
And if you don't sell something, I don't really care how many used cars it counts or what it does to my parts department. I don't really need it to do anything. I'm not here anymore. Right? You can't optimize my parts department or optimize my used car department to the point where that makes the AI worth it. And if I don't sell other stuff, selling stuff is what we do. That's that we are a retail organization. We sell sales, we sell parts, we sell service. That's what we do. And so don't let people get you caught up that it's some low margin thing or a marginal thing that marketing is this dumb version of AI. It's actually the smartest version of AI. You ever tried to talk to a customer? It's got to be pretty smart to talk to one. So we'll land the plane there. Until
I hope
next
you
time,
enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, I hope you did enjoy the ride. From the, so you can get a hold of Mud at, it's mud.com, right?
It's mud.com.
Mud.com.
Or
Yeah.
you can pick up the phone and dial 1-800-367-6833.
Yeah. So you can get we would much rather for you call.
Yeah.
We're still people. We still want to talk to people. Yeah. So you can get a hold there. You can get a hold of BDC Box at bdcbox.com. You can, what's your email, Rob? It's rob at mud.com.
Yep.
I'm Larry at bdcbox.com.
And 1B with Rob, R-O-B, at mud, M-U-D-D. 1B, 2 Ds.
1B. I like that. 1B, 2 Ds. Yeah. That's awesome.
I should have used that a long time ago.
Yeah. That's a mantra that you need to work on, I think. I'm trying to get my phone number here. So
you don't know your phone number?
I don't know. I don't know my phone number, and that's silly. I'm almost embarrassed to do this right now.
Yeah, I think you would.
I am a little bit embarrassed.
Maybe we can go back and edit this version, the close.
You might be able to edit this, or just leave it in because you did.
Or just hit them at Larry at BCD.
Larry at bdcbox.com, or call us at 713-659-9266. 713-659-9266. We'd much rather talk to you.
Or you can call me and I'll call Larry for you.
Or you can call Rob and he'll call me for me. Anyway, it all works. Thanks, guys.
Ciao.
We're
See
out.
you again.
Bye now.